individual basis. Listeners should not consider today's discussion as a recommendation for any investment and should carefully evaluate before investing. This is your Real Estate Today on News Talk 1110 WBT.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the show, Your Real Estate Today. It's Saturday afternoon, and what a nice day. We're glad that you're with us and look forward to sharing with you information about real estate. This show is about your home. It's about contracts to mortgages to things that affect your home and your daily life. I'm Paul Jameson, your host. I am the owner of the Jameson Real Estate family of companies. That's Jameson Realty, Jameson Property Management, and Jameson Property Investments. My good pal TJ is in here today making the magic happen so that you could hear this today. But today is a special day. Today, we have Sandy Dickinson with Cross Country Mortgage with us for our weekly mortgage update. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, Paul.
And back from a long hiatus, which includes a new child, is Trezze Stokes with Norwood, Armstrong, and Stokes. He'll be joining us in segment 2. We look forward to having him. We have a very interesting show with him today. We're going to talk some attorney speak, but we're going to talk some very elementary attorney speak that will add some value to your thoughts around real estate and the real estate transaction. So I look forward to having Trezze back with us again. It's been a while. Calvin, his partner, has dominated the airwaves lately, and we just had to fix it. We had to fix it. We had to make it right. So, Booge, Sandy, look, we have got to tackle an issue. And I know it's a part of your mortgage update, but it's also a part of my world. And that is perception. The word perception. Ladies and gentlemen, the word of the day is perception. Perception in our real estate market right now has created some very false narrative. What's that comedian that answers himself? What do you mean by false narrative, Paul? Well, let me just tell you, since Sandy didn't ask me, I'm going to ask myself. Perception that if a house goes under contract and all of a sudden, for some reason, it goes back on the market, there's something wrong with it. Nobody wants it. It's been rejected. It's falling in. That is a misnomer, because here's what we're seeing happen a lot in our marketplace right now. Now that due diligence fees, remember from other shows, we've talked about due diligence. That's when you put a home under contract as a buyer. It's a non-refundable fee that you pay to the seller to put the house in layaway, right? You put it there. You hold it, you examine it, you look at it, and then you negotiate repairs, get your appraisal, get all the stuff you need, and then that applies towards closing, just like if you took something to the store in layaway. So the layaway price or the due diligence price in last year's market used to be you're putting down bunches of money. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't and don't put down a fair amount of money now, but it isn't like six-figure due diligence fees anymore. So on a typical house that's maybe $500,000, we're seeing anywhere from $7,500 to $15,000 in due diligence fees or non-refundable deposits. And sometimes the buyer decides, you know what, I maybe am not ready to buy a house right now, or I found another one that's a little bit more shiny over here. And the cost of walking away is less for them. So many houses that go under contract are coming back out on the market again for absolutely zero fault of the seller or zero issue that couldn't easily be rectified or would not be negotiated out in a normal situation. Or the buyer just changes their mind. And so those houses then go back out on the market with that stigma, or what we call the stink eye. And then because they're out on the market, people automatically go in with a perception that there is an issue. And so what did I learn this week? Is to also make sure that I'm not guilty of that perception. That when I see a house go onto the market, I communicate with the other agent immediately to say, hey, what happened? So it's a good clarification to really understand, to help educate that there are a lot of good houses out there, but that for no fault have gone under contract and come back out. Don't miss those opportunities. Don't make that same mistake or make that perception. So now every time I get a showing on a house that's happened, I call the agent. I talk to them about what happened and why. Because recently I had one that went under contract. We got a significant due diligence deposit. It was in the neighborhood of $10,000. There was an issue underneath the front steps, which got rectified, of a small strip of bandsill. But the buyer changed their mind. I think they found another house that they wanted. They were very wealthy and a cash buyer, and they moved on to another house. Well, they left their due diligence fee behind. And nice thing for my seller is it more than paid for the repair and most of the new carpet that she got in. So that was kind of nice. But the house, for no fault of its own, had a stigma it did not deserve. So think about perception when you look at houses, and make sure that you understand what happened. Does that even correlate to you, Sandy, with what's going on in the mortgage market right now?
Absolutely. And I will continue your theme today. So, reality is that rates have gone up significantly since March. And a lot of perception might be, hey, I can't afford to pay that kind of a mortgage payment with those rates, or I just can't, afford to pay that kind of money for a house when the rates are up that high. But the so the perception may not meet reality, because we do have ways to help you get into these houses, and you won't know if you qualify unless you call me, and we can prepare for these types of things. These rates are not going to stay this high forever, and it's not like they're crazy high. I mean, yeah, they are high, and your payment's probably 30 or 35% more than it would have been otherwise. But there are some techniques we can use and some loan programs that we can use to help you navigate until the rates drop down. So, working with your realtor and your mortgage lender, we've got some terrific programs for that. And the seller, we can probably help you get into and not miss out on an opportunity, because let's face it, right now, one of the best ways to build wealth is real estate. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just a fact, because if we're not doing it in the stock market, let's face it.
You know what's interesting, and let's be specific about an example. Um, uh, Sandy's team comes to all of our open houses, and one of the very cool things about working with Sandy and her team is that we look at the listing and we say, what can we do as a seller? And working in conjunction, if the person qualifies, to create interest by using the tools that Sandy has to say, okay, as a seller with a qualified offer, we will offer to pay down your rate over the next 3 years as a part of this process. That's a beautiful thing.
It's a great program, and it helps mitigate the increase in rates for the
Yeah,
buyer, and it
yeah,
helps the seller.
yeah. It really does, because I think all of us believe that if you look at the trends, this is not a forever rate thing. The rates, what goes up's got to come down, right, Sandy?
That's right, and they're predicting probably, within the next 12 months or so.
Yeah. So, Sandy, if somebody wants to learn about those programs, or if there's a realtor even out there listening that wants to talk to you about how they can help their seller or their listing, how do they get in touch with you?
They could just simply call my mobile at 704-577-0144.
Right. As much as I like to say Sandy is I'm her only client, I'm not. But if you're a seller out there and you have another realtor, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. If you're a seller out there and you have another realtor, call Sandy and have her work with your realtor to create a package to help you sell your house. For goodness sake, I can't sell them all. Maybe
That's right.
well, anyway, I think it's worth doing. And coming up, Trezze is also going to work with me on talking about how we move forward together in the real estate transaction. The show Your Real Estate Today. I'm Paul Jameson. Thank you, Sandy. Coming up, Trezze Stokes. We got a lot to talk about on the show Your Real Estate Today here on News Talk 1110 993 WBT.